Good day, everybody. My name is Kevin Hogan. I'm the author of The Psychology of Persuasion, The Science of Influence, 22 other books that have been translated into 43 languages across the world. Thank you for making that happen. Today, the reverse pattern interrupt. It is so interesting that you and I are so familiar with the idea of the pattern interrupt. We've studied it in hypnosis, in neurolinguistic programming, in persuasion, and in influence. But we now live in a society, in a world where all there is pattern interrupts. In other words, 40 years ago, when people started studying pattern interrupts for real, back in the late 60s to the mid 70s, they started to discover that you can change people's way of thinking just by a quick disruption. And it was really quite simple, and you didn't need anything fancy, although a lot of people tried to get fancy about it, and it just sort of ruined the results. But really simple interruptions change people's minds quickly. But what happened now in the last decade, as the cell phone has become attached to our hand, and as one of my kids said to me, it's an extension of myself, Dad. Wow, right? Okay, think about it for a second. It's true, right? So as the cell phone, beeps and you check to see if the text is more important than the human being in front of you, okay, that tells you something, right? The world changed since they wrote all the sales books. We now have brand new problems that never existed before. You now have reverse pattern interrupts where a person's cell phone, which is always on, it's in their pocket or on their desk or on their coffee table, it goes off, and it goes off predictably and consistently during your appointment with them, during your time with them, whether it's you're asking the girl out on the date, you're asking for the business deal, doesn't make any difference. The phone's going off. And if you're making progress towards a goal, you're sort of building the foundation, and this is an important concept to understand. Please capture this idea. As you make a presentation, as I've shared with you many times, you sort of begin with a fundamental idea. You start on their landscape, you build up, you show people, why what they're doing right now is good, or perhaps it's not, but they need to move towards something that's on your landscape. And you sort of build this pyramid-like idea structure, this foundational idea structure that's in pyramid and shaped. And then all of a sudden, the cell phone beeps or rings or makes some weird sound which you don't even know what it is. One thing you know for sure is that interruption changed the person's way of thinking. Let me be precise with what changes, okay? It's not that the person goes from yes to no or no to yes. That's not what happens. There's a bunch of research here, none of which you need to know about today. What I'm going to show you, though, is that you can fix the problems that are caused by the cell phone going off. But I don't think I've ever seen three people in my life that have done it well. Here's what happens. Because you're building a pyramid structure, and when the phone comes into play, as soon as it beeps or it goes off or makes one of those dandy noises, and the person's attention leaves your idea pyramid, the idea pyramid now vanishes. And I don't mean a little bit. You're not picking up where you left off ever again. That's done. We don't have those kind of presentations anymore. We can't ask the girl out like that anymore. People are using antiquated technology. This is why when my son discusses with me about how he walks around school at the University of Minnesota, sound familiar? At the University of Minnesota, and it's like you look at a girl over there, and the first thing she does is what? Look at you? No, she looks immediately down at her cell phone. You have to know how to deal with that if you want to go out with that girl on Tuesday night, right? So you have to think now, okay, so you have been building up a pyramid of ideas, okay? One idea on top of another. This is called bottom-up thinking, okay? And then the phone goes off and it's gone. The problem here is you didn't talk fast enough. You didn't communicate quickly enough. And now you have a disaster because you've just spent 13 minutes or 17 minutes or maybe 27 minutes or maybe an hour. Whatever it was, the phone goes off, predictably goes off. And all of a sudden it erases everything. So what we have to do now is we now have to work with how their brain processes information at this exact moment. How is it doing that? It's now at top down. Now they look at the text from an old friend or from a current friend, or they see that there is a message on Facebook These are really messy because you actually have to click into Messenger and then go get it, and you sort of have to respond because it shows you the person's actually seen the message, right? So the person feels there's a series of sequential information that's going off in their brain that they want to take care of, and you need to say this. You need to say, I tell you what, go ahead and respond to that because it's probably important, and then shut up. Let them respond and sit there or stand there or whatever you were doing until they're done. When they look back at you in the eyes after they've taken care of business, then I want you to say, all good, everything's cool, great. Okay, so let's just kind of forget what I was talking about earlier, even though I built this massive pyramid, right? This huge pyramid of information, because it doesn't matter anymore because it's all gone. It's all gone. They don't remember any of it. 2%, 3%, 4%, nothing important. You have to simply now have the fundamental idea. What is it that you want? You say, hey, listen, I don't want to take up any more time. Tuesday night, dinner, ciao bella. Sound good? Or you can say, you know what? We were talking about the advertising and the various changes and all that kind of stuff. Can I just make a suggestion? Now, by the way, this is permission, and I'll talk about permission in a later video. You should, if you're going to make a suggestion of any kind to any person, you must ask for permission. If you want to tell somebody to buy something, you must ask for permission. I'll come to this and I'll communicate with you about this on a separate video, but the idea is you ask. As soon as the person says yes, then you can offer the suggestion because the person has given you permission to give you license to be the therapist, license to be the new potential boyfriend, license to be whatever it is you're going to do, the salesperson, whatever. You have a chance to make your presentation. So what I'd like you to do, John, is I'd like to have you do the full page ad on these 4,000 websites and blah, 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 whatever it is. And if you're communicating in a sales presentation, however, say that you're selling something like life insurance or something that does require some knowledge on the other person's behavior, we have to change what just got changed. So in other words, this is really important because this has never happened in the history of the world before these last 7 to 10 years. The person is thinking about the text that they just had. That's the reality. You do this, I do this, everybody does this. We're thinking about the text. We're thinking about what's going on, like down there, away from the studio, on the phone. I know that there's somebody down there on the phone actually waiting for me as I make this video for you right now. I haven't had these problems in the past, right? It was never a problem to go make a video. You go to your bar, you make it for an hour, hour and a half, you talk, you're done. Not anymore. Now there's somebody waiting to talk to you, and they're happy to tell you, oh, go on, make your video, it's fine. And you're like, but wait a second though, this sounds like it's pretty important. So what do? Well, I'm talking with you. We erased whatever happened because you got a text message. Simple enough. I offer to make a suggestion to you. But before I do that, I have to do one very important thing. I have to interrupt your interruption. I have to interrupt your interruption. In other words, right after your phone goes off and you've taken the message and you've gotten back to the person, exchanged a couple things, they saw it, everything is cool. I say, is everything okay? We're good to go? We can continue? Yes, excellent, wonderful. Then I have to interrupt all that you're now thinking about, because what you're thinking about now has absolutely nothing to do with what we were doing 10 minutes ago. What you're thinking about is only what was happening on your phone. That's really distressing and really disturbing, and it's why salespeople don't make money nowadays. It's why they don't close sales. It's why guys can't ask girls out anymore. It's really hard to do this stuff. It's why social anxiety is so huge. So you interrupt the interruption. How do you do it? You say, hey, as soon as they're done with their phone and they're not thinking about so much, they're actually looking at you while they're thinking about whatever it is that's on the phone. You say, hey, can I have a glass of water, please? Now, this forces them to erase what's on their telephone, and they are distracted. In the old days, you would never do this, okay? But now you have no choice but to do this because you have to erase the conversation they're having. So they go and get you a glass of water. If they're holding their phone in their hand, you can say, hey, can I see that? And people are very distressed and disturbed by this. And what you do is you just let them, you look at it, it's the iPhone 6, right? I have the Galaxy 7. So I'll just ask, and I'll hold it very gently, respectfully, do you like this? Are you happy with this phone? Because I just picked up a phone too, and what do you think? You like it? Yeah? Okay, cool. Well, anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, there you go. So, and then I'll say, so let's just not worry about all the details. I just want you to do this. And then whatever it is I want them to do, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it in 45 seconds. It's going to be over. There's a lot of ways that you can interrupt the interruption. You can point out something on the wall over there. For example, right behind this camera is an old poster from the 1940s, late 40s, and it's of Jimmy Stewart looking at Donna Reed in the movie It's a Wonderful Life. It's a really cool photo. And now, by the way, everything I just said just vanished for a few seconds as you tried to imagine, if you don't know who Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed are, and It's a Wonderful Life. If you don't know anything about that, you have an abstract thing. You can't even get your mind on it. But here's what you weren't thinking about is what I was talking about. You forgot that we were talking about interruptions for just that moment. And now I've erased your cell phone from your brain, except for now I've brought it back, so I got to get back to Donna Reed and Jimmy Stewart. Great movie, awesome movie. Did you like it? Yeah. By the way, what's that on your wall over there? Oh, that's a picture of my daughter picked up of the Beatles for me in Japan, and that's why they sort of look a little different than they did when they were the four lads from Liverpool. Oh, cool, really interesting. And so now you have taken the mind off the cell phone, you've put it onto something, they've told you a 30-second, 45-second, 1-minute story, and now you say, okay, hey, listen, I know you're running late, I know you got things to do, I can see that you've got people at home, let's do this. And then you make the proposal, just say, I will take care of this, I will do this, I'll need you to sign, and then I need to make sure that we agree on what's going to happen here and what's going to happen here. Are we good with that? Is all cool? Is everything okay? The answer is yes or no. And you have a sale where you would never get these sales ever again, because most people try to rebuild or try to continue where they left off, and it doesn't work anymore. That's it, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you at Influence Boot Camp. Cool? Cool.